Hello and welcome to Race Day. It is the AUSNZ PS5 Endurance Series by Hooncorp, and we are here for round 6 of Season 3. It is the Spa 6-hour race. I can't wait to get going with this one. Previously, in the Endurance Series, we had round 5 at Kailami. We saw BSR1 take pole position and go on to take the win with a dominant race, really, where they were challenged throughout, I will say, but they did manage to stay in the lead the whole way through and come home for their 3rd win in a row. It really has been domination so far from BSR1. They are the team to beat coming into tonight. They do have strong challenges. We got BCG1, 2nd place last time out. ANC outplayed, came home in 3rd. They're sitting 2nd in the championship. A lot of action to play out in a 6-hour race, though. Can they hang on for those extra 2 hours? It was 4 hours at Kailami last time out, 6 hours here tonight. Today's broadcast will be brought to you, or is being brought to you by Tracksport TV. Tracksport TV, www.tracksport.tv. But if you need any broadcasting or commentary in the highest quality, we have got 4K 60 frames a second coming in tonight. The stream is going to be top tier. Will the racing be top tier to match? Well, if you look at the previous rounds in the championship, you'd have to suggest that it will be. I'm going to be your host for tonight's action. I am Matt Smith, aka Monkey Matt, from Tracksport TV, and I'm joined by 2 great commentaries who will be alongside me in the booth. First up, we have from Hooncorp Esports, Mike Howell. Welcome into the booth, Mike.
Hey, Monkey Matt, great to have you on board there for this round. Looking forward to a great afternoon, mate. Hopefully all is well for you.
Absolutely. I mean, this is going to be a great day, isn't it? You got to love a race day for sure. And excited to have you in with us. And I'm also excited that we've got Lewis Atkinson as well, someone with a lot of experience in this championship. Unfortunately, not able to be behind the wheel tonight, but you're joining us in the commentary booth. Welcome, Lewis.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me along. Looking forward to a great afternoon of racing. It's going to get exciting.
Brilliant. I certainly am excited as well. I think you can probably hear that coming through in my voice to see what's going to happen. I've hinted towards it a little bit already. We're talking about getting into the championship picture as well. It's round 6 of a 7-round series, and that means we're starting to think who is going to end up at the top at the end of it, and what battles are forming that will influence how hard you attack, how hard you try and go for those moves in tonight's race. I think if we see BSR1 and ANC outplayed next to each other on track, they're going to be racing pretty aggressively there. Fighting for the overall championship at the moment. There's about 160 points between them, if I can do quick streamer maths there, at the top. So that's, we've got obviously Geesh and Captain Muffin in BSR1, and then Matt McEwen and Witchy in ANC outplayed, fighting in the front. In 3rd and 4th, BCG1 and BCG2. These are the 2 teams that have claimed the championship the last 2 seasons, 1 each. But this season, they've yet to even win an individual race. So that's a big storyline. I'm sure they'll be out hunting to try and change that as well. And those are the teams we expect to see fighting in the top of the Pro Division. We also, of course, have a Pro Am Division as well, and that is the closest fight amongst them all. We've got Hooncorp 1, only slightly ahead of TTR West Side. Definitely a battle we're going to be focusing on. That one looks like it's going to go right down to the wire for the final round next time out. So tonight they'll be trying to get one little bit of an advantage. And the amateur division as well, of course, TTR Eastside out in front at the moment, being hunted down by Hooncorp 2. So Hooncorp in with a shot of winning 2 titles here tonight. And as Hooncorp man yourself, Mike, you'll be excited about that prospect.
Well, I really am, Matt. The really neat thing about this is that the Pro Division, the Pro Division, the top 4 cars, it's 300 points for a round. So if there's a dropout of any of those top teams, everyone's in with a very, very good chance. Same with Pro-Am there. Again, the top 3 cars there, 5th, 6th and 7th place machines, again, well within that 300-point range. So you've got to do the job here. And even we go to the Am class, the same thing. The top 3 cars, where they are placed. I mean, you've got to say the Eastside team have done so well to be 8th outright at the moment. They're in front of a lot of Pro and Pro-Am teams. So the Am class, You know, that Mustang, they've got that thing dialed in. So, you know, never say never. I mean, it's going to be a very, very interesting fight here at Spa. We know how technical this track is. And you said about being enthusiastic and excited, mate. I'm absolutely on the edge of my seat on this one already, because not only has the driving standard been so high, Matt, but the pace has been electric. And I'll tell you, I think anyone's in with a bit of a chance at the moment, because there's something about Spa, but there's also something about Spa when it's wet. I have no idea how the weather's going to play out, but you know, we saw Bathurst just recently, the real racing, and we're going to see a fantastic race here in Spa in Belgium, and not too far away, I can promise you that.
Absolutely right. It's a track that's set to produce some great racing. It's going to be an exciting first few corners as well, I think, when we look at going through, well, actually, I was going to say La Source, but I believe the rolling start leads them and starts them out on the old start line, so heading into Eau Rouge side by side. That's always a little bit spicy. And if we look at where they are going to start, so we've already actually had our qualifying took place on Friday night, and we do have the results from that to show to you now. Here we are. So it was a 3-session qualifying. Qualifying 1 decided the drivers from 17th down to 21st. We then went through to qualifying 2, 11th down to 16th. Their position was sealed, and a top 10 shootout to decide the fastest drivers, to decide pole. And it was Psydog who managed to get it with a 2:17.0. So BCG1 will be starting on pole, exactly where they want to be. And I have to say, an incredible lap there. That was their fastest lap of the night, under the pressure of a top 10 shootout. Awesome stuff. And I mean, not just one driver did it. The top 4, so close between them, just over 3/10 between 4 teams. It really sets us up for an exciting fight. And it is going to be BCG1 on the front row alongside Hansi Outplayed. We've got Matt McEwen, who set that qualifying time to get them up there. BCG4 in 3rd, BSR1 in 4th, then Defy Motorsport, the first of the Pro-Am division, ahead of Cave Racing. BCG2 in 7th, Hooncorp 1, again a challenger for that Pro-Am division, in 8th position, ETR Westside, and then Cactus 10 rounding out the top 10. They were unable to set a lap time in the top 10 shootout. They actually set the 3rd fastest time in qualifying 2, but didn't get the lap in the shootout conditions. So that is a car that's going to be a little bit out of position on the race start. And really, there's so many storylines that we can keep talking about here. In terms of, if we look a little bit further, we've got that AM battle. We talked about how close the battle is in terms of the championship. Markled, the fastest of the AM drivers, in 11th. TTR Eastside, they're sitting in 12th. That's a nice spot to be starting, because their rivals, Hooncorp 2, are down in 18th. They have work to do. We've seen in the races they've been strong and able to gain positions. That is a tough place to be starting. I'll throw to you here, Lewis, because how much do you feel like the qualifying impacts this? You've had experience racing in this series. How much are you worried about the qualifying when you know you're heading into a long 6-hour race?
Yeah, well, you got 6 hours to work it out and sort yourself out through the grid and keep clean to make up places. But starting at the front, or on the front end, does have a serious advantage, especially with that the AM class. The gap between TTR East and HC2 is 6 places. You have 6 cars in between them at the start. There's 6 places they have to make up to even have a chance at beating them.
Absolutely right. We've got those conditions at the top of the screen. So the next 30 minutes looks stable, but 6 hours is a long time for things to go different ways. And as we are waiting for the timer to tick down, it's a good time to say welcome into the chat, everyone who is joining. We've got Nisbanath in here. We've got Flying Kiwi. Prevails in here as well. Getting excited for the 6 hours of Spa. It is round 6 of season 3. And it is not too far, 30 seconds. This is the time where if I was sitting on the grid, I'd be starting to feel a little bit nervous. You know, it's one thing to be racing for yourself and to be in this close battle. I mean, look how close these cars are lining up on the grid. You can just see so many cars are going to be buzzing around you when you get off the line, when you get this first lap going. It's one thing to have that pressure on yourself. You always, as a race driver, put pressure on yourself to want to perform. But when you're in a team as well, you don't want to disappoint your teammate and end up having a drama before they have even got in the car. So we'll see how careful everyone is off the line this time round. Last time at Kailami, there was a bet in chat, there was a poll in chat. Everyone thought there might be an incident, a big crash on the lap 1, and it ended up being rather clean. I think we saw one driver spin in all of it. This time out, what do we think? Do we think we're going to see any incidents? Mike, which way is your bet going?
I'll lay a can of Coke on it. There's definitely going to be an incident, mate.
We go one incident. Lewis, what are we thinking? What's your perspective here at Spa, which is a famous circuit, but can be tricky to navigate side by side on that first lap?
It's round 6 now. Yeah, it's people are going to be coming to the end of the season. You know, there's a couple of battles going down. It's a long race. I think people are going to be pretty hesitant. We may see a car around or two, but I think everyone's going to take it nice and slow, get into the race, and find their groove.
Beautiful. So hopefully, it's again, you two actually were disagreeing there, I think. So this could be a bit of fun throughout the race, and we've got differing opinions in the commentary booth. I'm sure we're going to have different opinions behind the wheels of these cars in terms of some of these drivers want to be aggressive, want to get underway fast, and want to take the opportunities, because there's often opportunities on a lap 1 when the cars are all bunched up like this. We might be seeing as well a little bit of a difference in terms of the car preparation technique here on the formation lap. For some of these drivers weaving a lot more than perhaps we're seeing from others. And out in front here we go. Oh, look at that, live Sidog just does a little weave. That was quite half-hearted, Sidog. I don't know that you're going to get much tyre warmth out of that, but he's just maybe making sure his wheels all set up, making sure he's in the right headspace as well, because a lot of it is mental. There's a lot of thought that goes into warming up the tyres, warming up the brakes on these formation laps, but you also want to make sure the driver's warm and ready to go, prepared to get underway for what is going to be an exciting start that always is, always action. And look at this aggressiveness here from Twitchy, pulling out alongside a little bit, showing his nose in the mirrors, even on the formation lap. A little bit of gamesmanship, Mike. What do we think of this?
You got to show the headlights, show the intention. I mean, you said about weaving and trying to get the heat in the tyres, hit the heat in the brakes. You'll see most of the cars riding the brake pedal pretty hard. They'll be hard on the gas and the brakes, of course. You can still damage the car if you do it too aggressively, Matt. But no, gamesmanship, you know all about that, matey. I mean, you're a fierce peddler yourself when you get behind the sim wheel, and this is exactly what it's all about. You can see it. The guys are trying to find their own little bit of real estate. It's a very, very long lap here at Spa. It's 7 kilometres. It's bigger than Bathurst, and even the hazard lights on there for some of them as well. So there's all sorts of gamesmanship going on, and that's what we want to see. But I suppose one question is, which manufacturer's going to take this one out? We saw the BMW is very, very strong. We see the Aston show some really good flair. Of course, Mercedes in there, and that's again what I love about this GT3 platform. So many manufacturers with the Porsche, the McLarens, the Fords, you name it, they're out there. But who do you think manufacturer-wise, not necessarily the team, who do you reckon is going to take it out from that point of view? Which car is suited for this track?
That is a great question. I'm going to throw that question straight past me and towards chat as well, because we've got a few drivers that will be watching along. What do we think is the fastest chat? They might have some insight in terms of having done some tests and tried out different things. What car would be the preference? I would say, looking at things, I did get some notes in terms of, again, listening to that little birdie telling me from pit lane that they think the BMW's going to be quite good, but the McLaren might be the best option to be in, and that is BCG2 in the 7th. They're in the McLaren. Maybe did all right in qualifying, not quite at the pointy end, but if that car is going to be as good as my little birdie from pit lane tells me, then they could be pushing forward from that position as well. They're actually a team that has decided to switch cars. They were previously in the BMW, deciding that the McLaren's the one to be in for this round in particular. We are about to find out who is going to get the jump at the start of this race. We're going through the bus stop here, the final corners of the formation lap, and then we will be racing for the 6 hours of Spa. It is the AUSNZ PS5 Endurance Series. And in fact, they've caught me out a little bit because I think they're going to go slowly around La Source first. Still going to be under pre-start conditions as they get around La Source. And then after that, we're going to get underway. It is Sidog out in front. He's going to lead from pole position after an outstanding lap in qualifying. Twitchy starting in the car for ANC outplayed. And they were only 1/10 behind after a 2-minute 17 lap. Be only 1/10 behind in qualifying was just quite remarkable. All 4 of these top teams going to be so close, but now as we come around this final corner, they've got to have to jostle for position. They are all slowing down a little bit, just playing the games of getting this race start underway, all grouping up, getting out of that slow La Source corner, and we are about to go racing. Here we go. Hopefully we get a nice camera angle provided from ACC. The cars come past pit lane, waiting for the green light, and it's going to come. Here it comes now. We are underway and racing. The 6 hours of Spa is go, and it's an even start at the front. They are going to go side by side through Eau Rouge. Can they manage it tidy? I think they're 3 wide in the background. There's contact right from the get-go. Twitchy in the side of Sidog, and is he going to rejoin? Still side by side as they come to abreast down the Kimmel Straight. There's 3 wide in the background, and I think it is Twitchy just emerging out in front. In behind, though, watch out. Viperize might get the spot as well, around the outside. Can he do it now and try and get 2 spots? Oh, not quite. He's going to get covered off by Twitchy, but he might not even get a single spot because Sidog has managed to hold on. What a great drive there. Committed in these opening set of corners, trusting the car, has got the grip already, and then holding on to second position. So only 1 spot lost as Twitchy emerges out in front. And that is going to have championship. We're going to be talking about the championship because Twitchy is in the fight, and he's in the fight with Geesh sitting in 4th now, tucked in behind the BMW. So emerging now, Twitchy out in front. And we'll get an update. Sidog is in 2nd, and then it is Viperized. Well, I'll call him Viperized, and I'll probably say that all night. Viper Z in 3rd position, who I think is just losing another spot as Geesh takes the opportunity. So a little bit wide, a little bit slow through that corner, and straight away on the opening lap, you can't afford to do that because someone's going to be there waiting to pounce. On this occasion, it's Geesh who slips through into 3rd spot. As now the gap to the front 2 opens up a little bit while these 2 battle, and it is all go on lap number 1. There's plenty of action further down the order as well. As these drivers run wide, we're going to be talking about track limits later in the race. I think a couple of drivers might have picked up violations through that corner, just going out on the exit. It tempts you out there. And now at the start of the race, they're going to be tucked in under the slipstream in the dirty air, which maybe we're starting to see who's been practicing these conditions. Geesh having to defend now down into the bus stop as there's defense going on for the lead as well. I think they all managed to get through their holding position for the time being. Sidog a little bit compromised on the exit. That's allowed Twitchy to pull away out in front. It's not resolved for 3rd though. Here we go into the source, for the first time at pace. I think they contact between them, banging wheels, get through the corner. Can Geesh hang on to this? Oh, it's still going to be side by side. This is cracking racing onto the first lap. Every position counts, and they're really fighting for it. I think Lewis was expecting a calm opening stint. It's calm in terms of they've all managed to keep it on track nicely, but certainly the racing is red hot as they go side by side now down the Kimmel Straight. Mike, I'm going to bring you in because how good is this? It's not resolved yet either.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. There's no way near resolved. We've got 5 hours, 57 minutes, Matt. We're already firing into 3 minutes in, and this time is going to go very, very quickly. But look at the scrap that we're seeing here at the moment. The 5 car there of Geesh. That Aston Martin is looking very, very solid and planted. I've actually heard little rumours myself that the Aston's one of the cars. I'm interested to hear and watch how the McLaren does go, as you earlier mentioned. But look at this thing go. Absolutely flying. Then we jump back to the 76 car there, which is the BCG 2 car of Norman. This is the car that was changed there, the McLaren, currently in 6th place. So he is rocking and rolling, and I'll tell you what, they will also be driving with a lot of, looking after the car in the back of their mind. The exciting thing was there wasn't a big calamity at turn number 1, lap number 1, and I really, really was hoping that was the case. I thought, you know what, with Spa, because the corners are so fast, as soon as you start on that straight and you go down that dipper side by side through the left-hand and right-left-hand combination, and another thing we haven't really mentioned too much of is the track limits. You bang on about that one. You can't go off into the wild blue yonder. You can't go out there and go visiting and picking the daffodils. You've got to stay on the track or thereabouts, otherwise there will be a time penalty, and it is heavily enforced here. They expect high standard driving, and that's why the series is getting so popular. Tracksport TV, Hooncorp Esports, and of course the AUSNZ series looking very, very strong. But I'll tell you what, again, you guys as racers yourself, you know what's happening at the moment. Whether you're behind the wheel of the 2-car team or whether you're a spotter for your teammate, this is where the old heartbeat certainly starts to rise. And look at this drive in the 56 car there, which is Viper Z in the 6th spot, Norm just ahead in the McLaren, and then look behind him there. There's the first of the mighty old Ford Mustangs. And we saw them doing so well at Kailami as well. It was the drivers that threw away some great results in that one. So, and the flames coming out of the back of these machines too, Monkey Matt, they look absolutely resplendent. And that 369 car there in 7th spot at the moment, they are looking solid as well. Lewis, I don't know what you think about the start on that one, mate, but that was pretty clean and fast and furious. I've got to say, big respect to the drivers.
Yeah, it was absolutely some clean racing, but they haven't wasted any time getting around to it. Wow, that was thrilling. Just saw there with 5%, he had a bit of contact with Jeesh coming in here a lap ago and lost, what was it, three spots. So yeah, everyone's still bunched up, you know, you're making mistakes and you're really going to pay for it at this time. Sort of like double demerits you guys have, well, Australia has for the weekends over there. But yeah, a lot of movers. Another thing I was thinking about as well with 5%, he's actually the second driver. Matt Donetti is the driver 1 for BCG. 4. Can't keep up. But yeah, so he's actually the co-driver, and he's in for the first stint. So they're getting the minutes out at the start. Will be interesting to see when Donetti actually decides to jump in the car. As well as TTR West fighting for the Pro-Am positions in the standings. They've jumped up 2 spots since the race. I believe they started 9th. So yeah, she's all moving around. No wasting about. Jeesh is up to 3rd, championship leader.
Absolutely right, that is critical. Jeesh's move actually on Viper Z was the one that really, that was the one that sort of took a lap to be finalised and sort of come through. But he made the position and has continued to fight on, and that has actually cost Viper Z in the end. Has dropped down now to 6th after starting, I believe it was 3rd. So I wonder if that is, like you touched on there, just the second driver in the car for the race start. Have ended up losing a few positions on the start and now trying to get themselves settled. But with all this pressure in behind from a modern Nick, that is a tough place to be at the start of this race. Trying to get your head in the game, especially when you're probably a little bit frustrated after losing a few spots. And you've got all that pressure behind you, you've got your mirrors filled. There's a lot to try and concentrate on and think about. He goes a little bit wide, but perhaps that's just the line that they're choosing to take out of La Source. And now the big run up the straight through Eau Rouge with that slipstream. We might just stay with this actually, and we'll see how much the BMW versus the Mustang, and the Mustang with slipstream, how much speed difference they have by the end of the Kimball straight. Keep an eye on this. Sketches red BMW there from Viper Z, and then in behind a Morton Nick, closing in a little bit. And down the straight, I think the BMW still has the legs here.
There's some good horsepower there from that Coyote V8, no doubt about it, for the 369 and Morton Nick. And also don't forget Markwood in the GTR car back in 10th place as well there. So 2 Mustangs in the top 10. And yeah, this is the thing too, a lot of people don't really rate the GT3 Ford Mustang, but that's a car that has been around for quite a while now, and I understand too the Corvette has just recently made into GT3, so hopefully we'll see the Chevy Corvette coming into mainstream racing in the not too distant future. But you know, the BMWs at the moment there, the one car there with Cy Bishop, he will be, the guy is a machine as far as just having the strategy locked and loaded. So Twitchy at the moment in the Mercedes there in front in the 726 car, but it's the one car that doesn't get a 1 on the side of that door just from hey, thanks for coming and being pretty good. It's there because this is a very, very determined team and a very, very solid set of drivers there, Matt. So I think it's really their game to throw away, but we play into strategy, because not too far behind is Jeesh there, another 1.7 seconds in the Aston Martin in the first of the BSR cars. So Jeesh defending points champ at the moment, but there's a long way to go in this one, and all you've got to do is have that momentary lapse. You know, you go past the track limits, you don't want to incur a drive-through for whatever reason, as we see a great little scrap going on here. We saw them line astern, and just almost I was saying that Cy Bishop is thinking the long term here. I think maybe the long term is getting some fresh air and saying, get out of the way, Twitchy, make that Mercedes move, son, because here comes the BMW, and it is a foursome sight as you see them come down into the sharp right-hander and starting another lap very soon as they come down the straight. This is a beautiful bit of racing. As we watch these two cars here, they really are a class of their own, because, geez, we know how fast he is. He's 1.6 seconds behind this battle, and as they go through that left-hander, the right-hander keeping the car smack on the track. There are track limits there. You've got to be careful. It can hurt, and it can hurt so jolly hard. And I'll tell you what, Matt, this is one of the things that looks so easy for us. And the sim racing is so good that the temperatures in that BMW are starting to get up. The front tyres are starting to get hot. Has he outdone himself here into this right-hander? No. Nice little job through the left part of that chicane, and a lot of work to do as he comes down towards that right-hander. Now, this is going to be a very, very paramount. This is turn 7, 8, and 9, Let's Coombs, and it's a very, very short little bit of action through this long 180 through Bruxelles, and now the left-hander not too far behind him. This is another one you've got to get absolutely spot on. Is there a chance there for Jesh to come through and have a challenge? No, he sits behind him, again staying on the line. This is going down towards Pohon, the left-hander here, which is a double corner, so don't take your eyes off this one. But again, just strategy playing out and planning it out beautifully. And on the back of the BMW, we are a team. They certainly are. They're doing a cracking job here, and the field is slowly starting to spread out, Matt. This is some absolutely awesome racing. Golly gosh, I wish I wasn't such an old fago when I get out there and have a go myself, mate.
Oh, you love to see it. And you touched on it there, number one on the side of this car, because they are last season's champions. Now leading here in the early stages of the 6 hours of Spa, just out in front. And interesting as well, Twitchy didn't defend that one down into Lecombs. He did defend into the bus stop, but then I think maybe he just saw the speed of Psydog coming in the mirrors, decided that maybe Psydog has the higher pace at the moment, which he's thinking about trying to hold on to that second position. He doesn't want to get in a fight and let Jesh come back into this one in the early stages. Maybe just having a little bit of an eye to the long game, wanting to extend any gaps at the moment as the field does start to spread out a touch. And we do have one driver, I believe I saw, already in the pit. So if we go back to number 17, so they haven't actually, it hasn't counted as one of their official pit stops. You see in the orange on the leaderboard the count of 4 there. There are 4 required stops. That will show us who has pitted. But I believe I saw them in the pits early, so they might have had a drama in the opening couple of laps and come in for repairs in the McLaren. They'll be hoping the McLaren ends up being the fastest car around the circuit, because they have a bit of work to do to try and now close into the rest of the pack. There's also a bit of a gap opening up for some of these drivers towards the back as well. Here is PTR South. Oh no, the battle actually now is going on with Flying Kiwi. Everywhere through the field, there'll be cars battling, and now send into the source. No, decides not to. The Aston Martin's getting close here, as with 13 minutes into this race.
And that's the thing, the countdown happens very, very quickly here at, well, not just at Spa, but very, very quickly with the high quality, fast-paced racing that we see here on the track. And Lewis, I'm just going to jump to you. Oh, in the background, I see someone go spearing off there. And I don't see, here he comes back, the 279 car, the Gordo in the FTS C2 car. My word, he took a little bit of a horrible trip, and hopefully the car's not damaged. I didn't see him clap the wall, but he's certainly,
I think it's damaged.
In fact, the front end is bad.
Yep.
Yeah, that's damage, all right. Oh, that is a crying shame. And let's hope it's bad. Let's be honest, guys. There's no doubt that thing's bad. Lewis, oh, dearie me, I've completely lost my mind where I was going on that one before, but oh, the car is not good. It's just understeering, it's not handling. That's the Aston Martin, and you just feel terrible for the driver, because the last thing Gordo wanted to do in that one was have a problem, but boy, have they got a problem at the moment. Now that's going to be, just tell us a little bit, actually I'll go back to you, Monkey Matt, just tell us a little bit about what's going to happen now with this damaged car for the people that don't know much about sim racing. Are they going to go in and snap the finger and they're back out there, or do they have to sit and wait and repair it?
Yeah, so here in Assetto Corsa, they are going to have to come into the pit lane. They're going to have to trundle around. So unfortunately for him, he's had the moment at the start of the lap, and now a whole 2-minute lap, 7 kilometers around this track with, look at that front right. That is an unhappy looking Aston Martin. He's going to have to get the whole way around to the pits, get into the box. Then his virtual pit crew will get on the case. They'll go and do some repairs. It will it will give them sort of a repair time based on how much damage there is to actually have to do. It will be sped up versus the real world. They are going to be able to repair that reasonably back to good condition for them to continue in this race, but that's definitely going to cost them. And again, look at them just struggling to keep that thing within track limits, as that front right tyre, I think, probably not pointing directly straight. But yeah, all of those aspects, all simulated as well. So we've been talking about tyre temperatures, we've been talking about weather, damage as well, all plays a role just like it would in the real world.
Yeah, I've been keeping a wide eye on the race at the start. 17 actually had a disconnect on the first few laps. It's very unfortunate, but it's great that they're back out there and getting going again, resetting. Gordo, yeah, he's been through the wars. He was sitting just ahead of Nismo actually, and he had a slight incident, had to redress, which brought him back down there. And now with the damage as well, it's really not looking too good. But up at the front, it's still all go. You know, there's only what 3/10 in between Psydog and Twitchy. Geesh is only 2 seconds behind. They actually gained 5/10. He actually gained 5/10 from their little squabble before changing positions. But yeah, the front five have really bridged out a gap between the mid pack, and they're all settling into their race. And it's looking great.
Well, that's good insight there, Ashley. Thanks for going and grabbing that. So 17 with the disconnectors, that is exactly what you don't want to see. That's kind of the worst case scenario. We refer to it as a mechanical problem, don't we? Don't we, Mike? We often compare to the real world motorsport. And yeah, not much you can do when your internet's not holding up, or if there is a problem with the game that comes unstuck like that. So hopefully that's the only one we see today. We'll cross our fingers for that. So we want to see the racing action, and at the front there is still plenty of action going on. Twitchy has not sort of dropped off. I wondered maybe if Psydog might have a bit more pace to pull away here once he got out in front. He did look like the faster car when he was stuck in behind Twitchy, but they've remained within just 2/10 now, according to the timing board there. So they've remained so close as a result of this one. And again, I think Geesh has pulled a bunch of time out of this gap and is closing in the background. So I wonder if there's tyres now coming into their own. If all the drivers certainly will be well settled by this point. 17 minutes into the race, and now everything's coming up temperature. They'll be getting settled. The cars will be perhaps in the optimal window, depending on how they've set up these cars. Often, a long stint like this, we're expecting them to go over an hour on these tyres and on these fuel loads as well. Keep in mind, they'll have full fuel at the start of this race. So the setup, they'll have to think about when they want the optimal performance. Sometimes you compromise the start of the race to try and have your car in the right window for the middle phase before the pit stops. And Mike, in terms of endurance racing, we're only just getting started, aren't we? There's a long way to go in this one. So we're talking about how these gaps are opening up, but it could still swing sort of at any moment.
Oh, absolutely. We haven't even got the temperatures up at the moment, mate, and that's what's really exciting about these cars. You know, really gutted for the 17 car, though, they have that disconnect. And you're dead right. It is actually a sim version of a mechanical failure, and that's exactly what they've gone through there at the moment. As we watch Geesh there in the Aston Martin, you know, just throwing the car around. I mean, by his standards, he's just driving it nicely, and that's what we need to see from these, you know, top running drivers at the moment. In fact, all the drivers out there are top runners. I don't think there's a real slowpoke on the track. They've done a fantastic job to get this far, and you can see how close it is in the points championship for all the categories. Everyone's got a reason to race. Let's be honest. And whether you're in the Pro-Am or the Am class, everyone's got a reason to get out there, because there's 300 points on the line. So you don't need to be the fastest when we're only, not even 20 minutes into a 6 hour here at Spa in Belgium, but you need to keep that car, you know, in good condition. And unfortunately for our mate in the Aston, that car there, Gordo, is certainly the worst for wear, and hopefully not too long before they can get that thing up to pace, and you know, maybe they can find a way to get themselves back from the position they were in. But you know, the battle's going on. In fact, looks like it's back out there, which is great. There is the 279 car, and in 21st position. So they've got some work to do, and surprisingly, they're still ahead of obviously the 17 car there in the McLaren, who had their little disconnect. So there's certainly something to fight for them at the moment, though it looks like they're 18 seconds ahead of that car. So, you know, there's fights within fights there. Matt, never say never, because we're far too early into the race. You know, put that bad luck behind you and make good luck from the future. And I suppose the other side of it too, I think that actually classifies them for the pit. It has. They've actually had a pit stop given to them, so they've got to do a mandatory 4 stops. Now they've only got 3 they have to do. So whether they can change the strategy, whether they've got the wherewithal to do that, it's so easy from our point of view. But that car is looking sharp, looking good. As we jump back into the lead, a bunch of cars, and there is the 5 car there of Geesh in the 3rd spot, and he's actually let that gap just open up a little bit there. He's still a better part of a second behind the Twitchy car there in the Mercedes-Benz, and in fact he's closed it up. It was 1.3 seconds, it was 1.0 seconds now, so he's just taken this simply. And one thing too, Matt, this is so good about sim racing, is that the aero effect is going to work. When you come into the 1 seconds, it's almost like the Formula 1 DRS system. You start to get a little bit of a gain and a bit of toe. What can actually hurt you in that instance, though, is you can start getting the brakes a little bit hot, the tyres can start getting a bit hot. You don't want to be right up the exhaust pipe of the car in front of you. So about half a second, 3/4 of a second where you want to be, and that's exactly where Twitchy is in the 726 car, the Mercedes. And also now we start to see G starting to come in there, and the gaps behind starting to open up, though. Third, fourth place there is the Mercedes-Benz there with the only M-Sport boys. They're about nearly 3 seconds behind there, and then we've got 4 seconds back to Norman, the McLaren. And you know, as you mentioned before, this car here, dead right, this is the one that they've actually changed the car for this round. So they've extensively tested other cars and said, you know what, we think that this car is actually better than the car we had last time. Let's jump in it and give it a crack. So they haven't just done it willy-nilly. Nothing this team does, you know, the BCG team, nothing they do is willy-nilly. They would have absolutely extensively tested. They reckon the car's a bit quicker here, a bit quicker there, and it's just absolutely awesome to see them taking a little bit of initiative like this, trying some R&D, and so far so good. Top 5 there from those boys, but other gaps are starting to open up a little bit there. You know what, Matt, I wouldn't be too worried about that one iota, because not only are we so early into the race, but I think we're going to find there's some strategies going on. Kyalami, if you watch that one right towards the end with Jish, it looked like they've made a bit of a silly call there. They'd actually gone and did literally a 20-minute stop and go almost. They didn't take tyres, they took tyres, didn't take gas, really quickly went back out, then came back and did a full pit stop after that and just blitzed the field with a car that was set and perfect for the last session. And I think that's exactly, that was only a 4-hour. This 6 hour, these guys are getting very, very good at strategy, very good at strategy. And I'm excited to see how this one's going to play out. But, you guys in your endurance history in the past, I mean, we are getting very, very, we're 22 minutes into this one. And, I mean, you're so full of adrenaline, you're so full of excitement. What's starting to go through your head, Matt? What's starting to go through your head now? Are you starting to feel a bit of a rhythm of the car? Are you starting to feel a bit of a groove? Are you able to say to you, are you the driver, the co-driver, say, yep, you're good, mate, how about this and how about that? I mean, are you starting to think about your first pit stop? Would you want your tyres to be a little bit better or a little bit worse? I'm looking at the temperatures, I'm looking at the weather forecast for the next 30 minutes. It's looking good, optimum pretty much, and it is optimum, and we are locked and loaded. So what's going through your mind this early into the stint?
Well, at this stage, you've had the opening phase, you've had the opening tussle. Like you say, you probably want to settle into it. You know it's a long stint. We're only 23 minutes in. They're going to go for at least an hour, is the prediction in this first stint. We might see some drivers trying to get close to that 1 hour and 20 minutes, trying to use the full stint timer if they want to extend a little bit and maybe save a little bit of fuel. So you are just trying to settle into your rhythm now, trying to find where your pace is. You kind of have an indication now of how fast you are. It's just about finding those small little tweaks, focusing on those braking points, all the good race car stuff, to try and optimize the lap. Maybe when you are tucked in behind someone like this, you're just watching what they're doing, seeing if there's any sort of areas that you can improve, and try and find where you might have a little advantage to make an overtake. This is Ikatosh from Hooncorp 1, sitting in behind Jimothy Payload, BCG 3. There's a lot of BCG cars out there today. That is, wow, number 3 in the Mustang there, in red. And yeah, the Hooncorp car hunting them down. But yeah, you're definitely settling in, but at the same time, you can't count anyone out this early on. You were talking about it there. You can't count them out, and I want to touch on just how true that is, because in the previous some of the previous rounds, we had 6 hours of Silverstone. Round number 4, BSR1 actually had a spin on the first lap. They were down in 19th position. And because we do have safety cars as well that can help throughout the stint, something we haven't talked about so much yet, but because we do have safety cars that can help you make that recovery drive, they came back from 19th at the start to win that race, win that 6 hours. So it's definitely a long one. There's definitely opportunities to keep moving forward if you have the pace. So it's all about what you can do in your own car. Don't stress too much about any little moments, or if you're having a battle with another car, you don't want to lose too much time, because it's about thinking about the long game. And like you say, thinking about what the pit strategy will be, any tweaks you can make to the tyre pressures. We can see that the track temperature still, the track conditions inoptimal. The track temperature 36 degrees, so it could get hotter yet if it continues to be sunny. And we've had the comment in chat as well, there could be rain at some point in this race. There's a few different things that could happen. You've just got to put yourself in the best position. that rain does come, the indication is that BSR will be loving it. They have shown that they are just absolute masters in the wet, and that is part of what helped them in that Silverstone race that I was talking about. The rain came down and they were just flying in those conditions. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on the weather. And it might be a good time now, Lewis, should we talk about, we have a safety car system in this race as well, don't we?
We sure do, yes. So with the safety car, it's with incidents involving 2 or more cars, or a car that is parked or crashed in a dangerous position. And it is up to admin to decide when that safety car does come out for certain incidents. And it's got all the good features of real life racing. You've got wave bars as well, so cars that are down laps, they can sort of get a jail-free pass, if they've had damage earlier in the race and such, or they've been actually involved in the incident. And it's a great chance for the racing to sort of pack up and pile up. And, it's the same excitement of a race start again. It's just it is a restart, of course. But yeah, it's a great feature added by AUSNZ, and it just makes racing a lot better.
Absolutely right, and it means that the field could end up, we see the field starting to spread out, a few of the positions starting to spread out at the moment, but that, that time gained could be undone later in the race if someone ends up having a moment, having a crash, bringing out that safety car, and I wouldn't count it out. It's a long race, we're going to have some tired drivers in the second half of this one, and so I wouldn't be surprised if we do have a moment later on. So far though, so good. It has been quite a tidy opening lap. And Mike, was it you that was predicting there might be some dramas early on? It seems like so far everyone's done well.
Well, I've always said that a closed mouth gathers no feet, so I should have shut up. But no, I thought there was going to be dramas. I honestly thought for the first lap or two it was going to be as ugly as the grandmother in stilettos. But no, it's all come right, and I was hopeful, and I was wanting to do the old commentator's mock. I wanted to be wrong, So I said if it's going to be drama, then it's going to hopefully real time it'll be cool. And look, these drivers have done such an awesome job, and from my side, it's only good. It's only good that they all get through and get a fair suck of the slap. And of course, we've seen the other car there have its little bit of an off all by itself. So no harm, no foul in that one. And just watching that McLaren go around, that 407 car in the 7th place, that's Cactus Racing with B-John behind the wheel. The thing just sits and looks absolutely planted. So now we jump back on board, and here we go with the race leaders there as Sidog and the BMW, Twitchy in the 726 car there, the mighty old Mercedes. And it's the German showing the Poms how it's all done. 3rd place there with Geesh and the Aston Martin. And they're just setting a blistering pace between them. Although you can just watch that Geesh has slightly fallen away in the distance here, and no, now he's got himself back at the wrong screen there. There we go. Now we get it right. So, but a second between the top 3 cars, and we're nearly half an hour into this race of a 6-hour there, Matt. So it just goes to show, these drivers, they know what they need to do. They know what they have to do. They know what they want to do. What's going to happen? Well, it's like you put all those little cliches in an ice cream container, put the lid on, shake it up, pull out something, and hope to heaven that you get a really good finish at the end of it. But there's so many points up for grabs at the moment. 300 points for this round going in, and everyone's in with a jolly good chance to to really shine and impress. A couple of minutes to go, Matt, with 30 minutes in. That's half an hour of quality racing, super fast pace here, and look at them go down through that beautiful left and right, up over the top and down this long straight. I mean, there's so many big aspects here for Spa. It's a technical track, but if you get it nailed and you speed through the corners, as we see a challenge there from Twitchy, pokes his nose up the inside, says, "Hey, Sidog, how you doing, son? Don't forget me," and trying to just show a nice little inside line. Didn't see the flash of the headlights, but I don't think you need to necessarily. Sometimes you can just come from, I'm just going to fill up your mirrors and just let you know that I'm there. This is one of the closest scraps we've got on the track at the moment, and it's literally a battle for the lead. How lucky are we to have this box seat and watch such high-profile guys going at it hammer and tong? And I'm sitting there saying, you know what? I think we're going to see strategy. I think we're going to see smart driving. I think these guys are going to just sit back and take it slowly and look after their cars, and I don't know that that's what I'm seeing at the moment. I think I'm seeing 2 maniacs just thrashing the daylights out of their cars. They're doing a cracking job at the moment. Is it the time to push now? Maybe it's the time to try and lose Geesh, because that's what they've done. These 2 cars together have just pulled 0.3 of a second off the 3rd place Aston Martin. Is the BSR1 car going to respond? Twitchy and the OP team, BCG1 with Dog. He's leading the charge well and truly. In fact, we now see 0.7 of a second to Twitchy. So Simon Bishop, Dog, has said, you know what, it's time to accelerate. Let's pick up the pace, boys. Let's up the ante. I think they've got a good read on how track conditions, and just looking for the 30-minute weather forecast there, looking grouse, staying optimum, 29 degrees, track temperature 36 degrees here. Oh, Spa is absolutely turning it on, and I think Twitchy's just pulled back 3/10 into that little section as well. So he really is, this chicane is such a trick to master as they come down towards what used to be the old start-finish line. We'll carry it on though and go up to the absolute hairpin. It's a hairpin on steroids, and watch them come into this one now, Matt. Oh my, as we have exceeded 30 minutes, we're less than 5.5 hours to go, and the racing for the leaders is 0.3 of a second, and Geesh is 1.1 seconds back. Oh, dearie me, are we going to see the win from this trio? Is it going to be Rags, Riches, or oh dearie me?
Was that a bit of an off track there? I was just going to say he might be sitting up for the move, Twitchy, but I think up over Radion, he's actually run wide, carried on with it a little bit. He might have had to tap the brakes to try and avoid getting in trouble for that one. The gap just opened up a couple of car lengths. I thought he was going to be sitting up for the move, and I think that might have just been a little bit of a mistake from our car in second place. And that is just an indication, really, isn't it, that they are pushing at this phase of the race. They are going to go for it. I think when Twitchy showed his nose, that made his intentions clear, and Psydog had to respond on that previous lap. Flying around the circuit at the moment. The race for the lead, still nothing between them here. Psydog still holding on out in front, looking calm and composed as ever. But that Mercedes lurking seems to have found some pace after losing the lead early doors. Now trying to find a way to get it back. Can he recover and come back through? You mentioned it, G's dropping off a little bit now from this front three battle. We're starting to see an indication of the pace of each car through the field. G was right there just a lap ago. Now backing off a little, perhaps actually just keeping an eye on the battle in front. Wondering if they're going to start fighting, he can maybe ease off. We are going to have to see how they choose to approach this one. If it is going to be just completely go for it, fight for the positions, or are any of these drivers maybe trying to conserve a little bit, thinking about fuel, thinking about longevity? I think we're just going to have to wait and see, because they are just so fast that you can't really tell. This could be them. When they're conserving, they still look absolutely perfect, these top drivers. And the top three of them have pulled away a little bit now from the rest of the pack as it starts to open up. Doing a mega job, I have to say. Nitro sitting here in fourth in the Pro-Am division, and what an absolute position to be in, and what pace they have. Only 6 seconds off those front three, ahead of a lot of the pro drivers at the moment, looking comfortable here in fourth. It's not that they've just happened to land here, they have absolutely earned this position through the opening half an hour of this race, and currently sitting there ahead of Norm in fourth. This is the McLaren we keep talking about. He's the lead McLaren at the moment. Norm and Noodles will be driving this car together. Norm starting the race, sitting in fifth, still 5 seconds away from the front four, so those gaps have opened up quite a lot. Further back though, there is no gap here. Look at this. This is Viperized ahead of Bijan in the other McLaren, and that McLaren has got pace. Sitting in behind, can he keep it tidier than we saw from Twitchy? Oh, bouncing over those curbs. You can see when you try and be aggressive through Eau Rouge, it's easy to get it wrong. And now there's actually going to be a 3-car fight as well, because TTR West in the background lurking there. Is this going to be an opportunity to try and go for a move? These BMWs seem to have the pace down the straight though, don't they? Lewis, have you done much testing in these cars? You were obviously driving in the series earlier in the season. What do you make of the car pace in the first half an hour?
Yeah, I've done a lot of racing in a lot of different cars, and I've raced a lot against a lot of different cars in this series. And one thing I've noticed as well is Jesh he's sort of reeling it in and letting it go. It's like sort of catching a big fish with that Aston Martin. It's got a bit of weakness through that second sector with the tight turns, and cars like the McLaren, like we're watching in this battle with Viper Z and a Morton Nick as well. It's doing well through the second sector, and it can help it catch up. But the Ford has a bit of legs, absolutely. I think the Ford and the Aston are definitely the top dogs when it comes to straight line speed.
Brilliant. And they'll be trying to think about their advantages of the car as well when you try and line up those moves. Where can you have the opportunity? Where do you have that advantage? If it is through the corners, you're trying to spot the car in front of you, see where you can make maybe a dive through the corners to get an overtaking opportunity. It has just settled down.